What is up, everybody? Blood Moon Bobby here, coming at you with another camera. Today we are looking at the Sony RX10 IV or RX10 Mark IV. Let's just call it the RX10 and 4. So this is Sony's premium megazoom camera with a big sensor. The lens we're looking at today is a Zeiss 24-600 25x optical zoom lens, which has an f2.4 aperture on the wide end. This lens has optical steady shot, which can steady shots 4.5 stops slower than normal. So this lens has super ED and ED aspherical elements to minimize chromatic aberrations. So, and also ED elements tend to get rid of muddy colors, so you will get a more pleasant looking picture. If you're wondering the sensor on this camera, it has a 1-inch 20 megapixel Exmor CMOS sensor, and the camera has Sony's Bionz X processor. The camera can also record videos in 4K at 30 and 24p. 4K videos record at 100 megabits per second depending on the shooting mode, so you'll want to get something like a SanDisk Extreme Pro if you're planning to record videos on this camera. If you don't have a memory card that can take it, or if you just want to record at 1080p, this camera can do it at up to 120p. Either way, filmmakers will be glad to know that the camera has S-Log3 and S-Gamma3 profiles, and it has time-code, so you have color grading flexibility. As for the still image part of the camera, Sony says the camera has fast AF at up to 0.3 seconds. And this is the really big one for me, is that it actually has 24 frames per second continuous shooting with AF tracking. And I said 24 frames per second continuous shooting, not for movies, but, you know, for shooting sports. And Sony says that the buffer of the RX10 IV is up to 249 images. And like Sony's these SLT cameras, this camera has a lot of AF points. The RX10 IV has 315 phase detection in points, and the AF points cover 65% of the sensor. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be like a Nikon D500 where the AF points cover a good amount of the sensor horizontally, but that's still a lot of points to play with if you're shooting sports. As for how are you going to compose your images, the RX10 IV has a 3-inch 1.44 million dot LCD. It's a touchscreen that has touch focus, and for people that are serious about keeping their shots steady, the camera has a 2.3 million dot XGA OLED viewfinder. Sony also says the camera has an anti-distortion electronic shutter that allows the camera to shoot at speeds of up to 1/32,000th of a second. So, you know, that's one of the benefits of an electronic shutter. There is also a mechanical shutter mode if needed, which in my opinion you're going to want, because I've heard electronic shutters give, you know, some pretty noticeable artifacts. So the Sony RX10 IV, it sounds like a pretty promising mega zoom. Like, I'm still pretty floored that in 2017 we're getting cameras that have really big sensors that can zoom at, you know, 20-25x. Reason being is because usually when a camera has a big sensor, its lens usually can't zoom out all that much because of what they call the image circle. Well, you know, it's how these lens, you know, and sensor align. If the camera lens can see like all of the sensor, you're gonna get some vignetting when you take pictures. Or I'm sorry, I mean to say, if, you know, like, it's kind of hard to illustrate here just through my voice, but like, if your camera's sensor can only make out the shape of your lens, you're gonna get some vignetting. So I'm glad to see or at least I'm pretty sure that this new Sony isn't going to have, that really crazy level of vignetting. You're still going to get some nice shots. And if you do want some vignetting, and you can put a very subtle vignette in Photoshop. So, not sure what else to say here. I mean, it's a pretty cool sounding camera. It's got a good sounding sensor and 4K video. Let me actually check to see, does this camera have a headphone and mic port? Yes, it does have a mic and headphone port on the side if you're very serious about your videography. Let me actually just check, does this... I want to see, does it allow for a clean HDMI output? Doesn't say if it offers a clean output. Knowing Sony, with how they make video capable SLRs and cinema cameras, I'm pretty sure, or it is a clean output. If it's not, please let me know in the comments below. But it is a pretty promising sounding camera. It's probably not for me, only because I prefer shooting with my Nikon DSLRs. But I know there's people out there that just want to have a camera with a good sensor and a long zoom. So if you're in that category, the Sony RX10 IV may be one of your very few options. So, and it should still take pretty good pictures. I've heard good things about Sony's 1-inch CMOS sensors before. So, alright, that about wraps it up for me. Please like this video or dislike it. Please subscribe to Blood Moon Bobby for more camera videos, and thanks for watching. We're listening.